And we back, 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 and we back. Better than I was the last time.
Welcome to the 8th installment of the 30-Minute Drill. I'm Francesco Terranova alongside Alec, Oppenheim, and Joey Cunningham. Today, we'll be going over our new First and 10 segment, take a look at a possible NBA Finals rematch, and lastly, some NFL free agent predictions. So to start with our First and 10 segment, we have a couple questions we're going to ask. First one being, is Tom Brady the GOAT? Is he the greatest of all time at what he does? Alec, want to start?
I don't think he is the greatest quarterback of all time. Many people will say he is, but also many people will say it's Joe Montana, quarterback for the 49ers in the 80s and 90s. I'm sure Tom Brady may be better statistically, but it's just a different era than it was back then. It's a lot more pass-heavy now than it was. Also, Tom Brady, people might say that it's because of the system he's in under Bill Belichick. I mean, look at when he was suspended for the first 4 games of the season. I mean, they went 3-1. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo did really well. Jacoby Brissett did all right. Also, when he was hurt in 2008, when he tore his ACL, I believe, Matt Castle also did really well. Brought him to at least, I think, 11 wins. I mean, it doesn't happen unless you have a great system.
Well, I think the biggest argument for Brady is the 4 Super Bowl MVPs, the championship status that he has, especially after the last Super Bowl, now having 5 Super Bowls, one more than Montana, even though, yes, Montana is undefeated, but Brady has gotten there much more often. And also a fact that not a lot of people have noticed, not looking at the stats, but the overall health that Brady has had. Brady has played 13 full NFL seasons, while Joe Montana only has 4 under his belt. He's been plagued by injuries throughout his career. Cunningham, anything to add?
I think that's it, though. I think the injuries that Montana had really, he couldn't put the statistics in that he really could have aside Brady. I mean, Brady had all the statistics playing all those full seasons. And I mean, Montana's stats really aren't that far behind him. I think it's Montana. I don't really think there's much of an argument there.
Well, 20,000 yards less and half the touchdowns of Brady. Really, the stats do say a lot. Although, yes, you could argue the teams are a lot different, but we've run out of time here. This is going way past that we'll talk about later on. Moving on to Raiders to Vegas. We're seeing a lot of NFL teams moving around the country with the Rams going to LA. Now the Raiders possibly going to Vegas. Alec, you being a Raiders fan, what are your thoughts on the Raiders moving to LA, Las Vegas?
I think it's probably the best thing for the Raiders moving to Las Vegas because they just need a change. I mean, sure, they've had plenty of success in Oakland. They also used to call LA home. But now I think it's time for a change of pace. They need to move to Las Vegas. But a few weeks ago, they hit a snag in that deal, and San Diego actually reached out to them. So I'm not really sure what might happen there in the whole where they move.
Well, there could be a lot going on, and I think if they do move this year or possibly next year, they have to do it with guys like Derek Carr, Latavius Murray, Amari Cooper, all these young studs that they have in going on the field week in and week out. They need to do it now for them to build a sort of dynasty that we could see leaving Oakland, that is building in Oakland right now, but it could be going to Las Vegas. Cunningham, any of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders are a young, exciting team. They made the playoffs this year. I mean, unlike all the other teams that are making the relocations, like the Rams and the Chargers, they're just not exciting teams that you want to go watch. They're not playoff-ready teams. I think the Raiders, this is probably the best move for them.
Yeah, and something similar that we're looking at, the Minnesota Vikings got a new stadium, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you saw the game on Monday Night Football, the Raiders, if you see on that graphic, the stadium that they could be building is revolutionary.
Over $1 billion it's going to cost. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. It is mind-boggling what that stadium could become. Moving on, another team that could be going, that ended up moving, the Chargers have now moved to L.A. The biggest talk when this happened wasn't the fact that another team was going to L.A. from the NFL, but the logo that they chose. It was similar to a team that's already there in L.A., the Dodgers. Alec, what are your thoughts on this?
It's exactly the same. That's really all there is to say. I mean, look at it. It's the same colors. It's the second I saw it, I thought of the Dodgers. I mean, it's so unoriginal. I don't know.
Gave it a slight angle and a thunderbolt.
I guess. I mean, I don't even know where they got the color from. It's not part of their uniform or anything. But with them moving to Los Angeles, I think they should have changed their logo. There's really not much history in San Diego. They've never won there. They've never really had much success, and I think it should be a good thing to see what they can do in a new city.
Yeah, and definitely, unlike the Raiders who are doing it as they have the young stars, the Chargers are moving when they're building and starting to get these young stars, with veteran Phillip Rivers going out sometime soon, and guys like Melvin Gordon that they have drafted last year. Joey Cunningham, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, Chargers, they're in a rebuilding process. sad for LA to see like a team that's not going to be able to win for a couple of years in the Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah, same with the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams and the Chargers both in the same situation, same boat, new coaches and everything. I just don't think it's the move for them to move to LA right now. I think when they are more of an established team, that's when the time to move should happen.
Yeah, definitely. So with this move, now we have LA becoming like the New York in sports with, I believe it's now 7 teams in LA, just similar to as there is in New York. A lot of teams moving there, and it's becoming the East and West possible. But we talked about actually prior talking about the rivalry that could be created between the Rams and Chargers. We don't see that happening. Moving on, we're going to talk about, this is the 30-minute drills opportunity to poke fun at the Browns as they've released quarterback Josh McCown. No one really cares about the Browns, to be honest.
That is true.
Not sure really why we're talking about this, but we're going to because it's a 30-minute drill, and this is what we do with the Browns. Alec, anything?
It's Josh McCown. He's no good anyway. I mean, they have 16 other quarterbacks on their roster, I'm sure, with the top 2 being Cody Kessler, RG3. I mean, how much does he really have left in his career? He's 37, I believe. He's injury prone, I'm pretty sure. He's just not a good quarterback.
Yeah, definitely not doing it for the Browns, only getting 1 win last year against that Chargers team who had to get out of there, possibly had to go down a league after losing to the Browns. But RG3, and then they had to go to guys like Terrell Pryor at some points who isn't even a natural quarterback, just an absolute athlete.
He started as a quarterback, but he moved to receiver. I mean, he can do both, I think.
Yeah, he definitely can. Cunningham, any thoughts?
I mean, look, the Browns just went through their second McCown. They already had Luke McCown in early 2000. Now they went through Josh McCown. I mean, it's just a struggle for the Browns. And their draft board, obviously, they're going to have 10 picks probably. All 10 are probably going to end up being quarterbacks. They just don't know what to do with the position.
They're going to turn Myles Garrett to a quarterback. All right, well, I'm not really sure if that's going to happen, but they do have the 11th pick later, which they could use on a guy like Mitch Trubisky if he somehow gets out of the top 10. But there is a couple good quarterbacks in this draft that they could turn, or maybe a good wide receiver they'd like to make quarterback as they're trying to do with Terrell Pryor. Moving on, we're going to go to the Knicks situation that they had, referring to Charles Oakley and how the owner of the Knicks, Dolan, handled it, and then Adam Silver was able to step in. A lot of jokes were made about it, how Roger Goodell, this is how you handle a situation and what you have to do. Adam Silver really did a great job of not stirring the pot there. Cunningham, anything you'd like to talk about?
I mean, look, Charles Oakley, a player who gave it his all on the floor for the Knicks, gets kicked out of the arena that he put so much time, so much effort into, so much blood, sweat, and tears. And for him to go out like that in front of the whole Madison Square Garden crowd was just really a shame.
Yeah, definitely didn't look good for the Knicks organization, but you think it's pretty obvious he had intent. Probably a drinking problem that's been talked about that he has, was intoxicated there. Dolan did take the advantage to, it is a private arena, so he does reserve the right to ban anyone that he wishes. But Alec, anything you'd like to talk about Charles Oakley and what's going on there?
Like what Joey said, I completely agree. It's just a shame. I mean, what was he thinking? He was he's probably intoxicated. He wasn't thinking straight. He shouldn't have been doing what he was doing. And just recently, he actually went to a Knicks away game in Cleveland. So if he can't go to the Garden, he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah,
see them.
And in fact, it was seen that he was sitting next to Cleveland's owner, talking to him throughout the game. Wonder what they were talking about, whether it was between Dolan had talked to the owner or the managers had conversed, not sure there, or Adam Silver referenced it, knowing that he would be there. Moving on, we're going to talk about a very controversial topic. The White House and what players will and will not be attending because of the sitting president, Donald Trump. They do not agree with what he stands for, and they've decided, players like Devin McCourty, LeGarrette Blount, have decided not to attend when the team visits. As a tradition, annually, the Super Bowl team will visit the White House. This is also in other sports. The World Series champions will visit the White House. Not sure if hockey does it, but I believe the NBA does it as well. Cunningham, anything that you'd like to talk about in this topic?
It's just a shame because, like, with President Barack Obama coming before Donald Trump, everyone really went to the White House. There was no real issue, and I'm not going to hold anything against the players who don't go to the White House. That's their decision on whatever they believe in. But their team's going to go. Everyone's just going to keep going. I don't really think there's going to be much of a issue in terms of who doesn't and who goes.
Yeah, it's definitely up to them, but Tom Brady had to make a statement that he will be going, so obviously questions are being raised on how long this tradition could last, being that instead of saying that you won't go, it's a bigger thing to say that you will go, as Brady had to make that statement. Alec, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's completely their decision whether or not they want to go. I mean, players before them have not gone, just hasn't been this many at one time before. I mean, if they don't want to go, they don't really have to. I mean, I don't think it's really a big deal.
Yeah, personally, a lot of politics are being brought in to the fact of sports. Not really a whole fan of that, but I do like how they use their platform to make a stand on something, which I think they should do. Moving on to our last segment, the Ball family. Now, we're not just talking about the three kids here, Lonzo, LiAngelo, and LaMelo. We are also talking about LeVar, who recently made a comment stating that Lonzo Ball is better than Steph Curry. Not that he will be better, but that he is better at the moment. A freshman in college, beating a two-time MVP and a unanimous MVP, world champion, and back-to-back NBA Finals appearance, winning one of them. So, not really sure where LeVar was coming from on that one, considering his son is a freshman, hasn't really won anything of merit yet. So, Cunningham, you're really great with college basketball. Anything you'd like to talk about with this?
LeVar compared his son to Steph Curry. I don't even think Lonzo's the best player in college basketball as of right now. I mean, yesterday they played USC. They're a team that's not ranked. He had 4 points and 5 assists.
They played Arizona yesterday.
UCLA?
Yeah, they played Arizona State.
Oh, okay. So they played Arizona State, and they just didn't do anything. Like he scores 4 points on like 2 of 9 shooting. He just doesn't play well against halfway decent teams. Like if you're gonna say that you play well at the next level, I mean you got to at least play well against the subpar teams.
Yeah, especially because the big argument is that the collegiate level is much different than the NBA. Alec, what are your thoughts?
Maybe he was intoxicated too. I mean, I don't know really where he was coming from saying that. It's not even close. He's a freshman in college. I mean, he might not even be the best basketball player in his family. I mean, like, you're gonna say that he's better than one of the best players in the league right now, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. I completely disagree with what he's saying.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are disagreeing with it, but it's good to see a father backing up his son, but then could cause a lot of pressure on him. So that's it for our first and 10 segment. When we return, we will look at a possible NBA Finals rematch between the Warriors and the Cavs.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Positano Pizza, the finest Italian cuisine and pizzeria. Show us your Wayne Hill student ID to get 2 slices of pizza or a bowl of pasta, plus a drink for only $5.
Welcome back to the 30-minute drill. For this segment, we're going to talk about whether we could see the same teams in the NBA Finals for the 3rd consecutive years. Both the Cavs and the Warriors leading the Western and Eastern conferences. The Cavs doing a great job of the Eastern, absolutely taking control, really taking over that conference, as not a lot of teams have above winning records. 2 of the teams in the playoffs as of right now don't have winning records. Cunningham, you're an NBA expert. What do you like to talk about? Is this going to be a possibility?
It's a guarantee, because at this point with the Cavs are going to the NBA Finals no matter what. There's not one single team that's even going to give them 2 games, I think, in the playoffs. And the Warriors, I think, have an actual chance to get eliminated by like a team like the Spurs or the Clippers, the Rockets, but I just don't think it's going to happen this year. I see the Cavs Warriors round 3.
Yeah, I think so as well. Right now, if this were to happen, they'd be 1-1, so best 2 out of 3. Alec, what are your thoughts? Do you think we could be seeing a 3rd consecutive NBA final like this?
Yeah, I mean, who else is gonna go up there and take that from one of those 2 teams? I mean, it's just them and everyone else.
Yeah, there are some underdogs in the Eastern Conference that we could see. The Celtics and the Wizards, led by John Wall and Isaiah Thomas, their leading point guards. We could be seeing them possibly coming up big against the Cavs, but really the Cavs are an absolute powerhouse who, even falling off in the month of January and February, still have a 40-16 record, only being beaten by Golden State and San Antonio, and as well as Houston, led by James Harden. But that's all in the Western Conference. So obviously the Eastern being much weaker than the Western Conference, led by Golden State. But there are a couple teams that could knock the Warriors, who are actually, some would argue, worse now that they do have Kevin Durant. They haven't done as good as last year. Cunningham, anything you'd like to add before we go to break?
I think the Cavs can honestly be the 8th seed in the East, and they would still make their way to the NBA Finals. They could be anyone, any place, anytime, anywhere. They're just the better team in the East.
Yeah, the Cavs are just one of those teams. Although I do think the Celtics would definitely give them a run there, but definitely the Celtics do not have the depth that the Cavaliers have. That's all from this segment. After break, we will make some bold NFL free agent predictions.
For more information on advertising on Wayne Hills TV, contact Mr. Hookstraight at jhookstraight@wayneschools.com.
Now for our final segment, we'll be making some unique free agent predictions with some star players joining new teams. So to start, I think the biggest name on the free agent market is Adrian Peterson and where he could be moving. Now, the Giants recently cut Rashad Jennings, who is now obviously a free agent as well. Could we be seeing a player like Adrian Peterson going to the Giants? Alec?
I could see it happening. I mean, he's sort of hit the end of his career. He's got maybe 1 or 2 years left. He could be a good veteran presence for those other running backs like Paul Perkins and some of those other guys there. But it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't go there. But I don't know. I don't really know what could happen there.
I think it's very much up in the air. But Adrian Peterson, I feel like, would like New York as a city, and the Giants definitely do have the cap room to afford him, having now dropped one of the biggest contracts, Victor Cruz, who is now also a free agent. Cunningham, do you have any places that Victor Cruz could possibly end up?
Victor Cruz could really end up anywhere. He could play any wide receiver position 1 through 3. Carolina Panthers could really use him because they really don't have a lot of receivers. Buffalo Bills could use him. They don't have a lot of receivers either. He's going to find his place wherever he ends up, though, either way.
Yeah, I think so as well. There's a couple quarterbacks on the market, Jay Cutler and Kirk Cousins this season. Prior to us recording, you said Jay Cutler is worth a bag of chips. But how about Kirk Cousins? Where could he be ending up? Alec?
I think Kirk Cousins is going to stay right where he is. I think he's going to get franchise tagged again. And if he doesn't sign a long-term deal with the Redskins this year, he's not going to stay with them. They really don't have much to offer him now if doesn't have a long-term deal with him, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, they can only franchise tag him for so long. It gets frustrating.
Yeah, and there's a couple landing spots for Jay Cutler on the other end, being possibly going to the Jets, who really don't have anyone. The Bills, if they ultimately decide not to go with Tyrod Taylor to lead their future. Cunningham, any thoughts on Jay Cutler besides the bag of chips?
Jay Cutler is going to end up getting drafted for a pick in the draft either way. The Bears really have no need for him as of right now. They're looking on more of the future, and if Jay Cutler can produce 1 or 2 halfway decent years left, I'd be pretty happy with that. I'm trading a 6th-round pick for it.
Yeah, and probably the biggest surprise, I mentioned it earlier, Rashad Jennings being cut from the Giants. They do have a couple of young stars in Paul Perkins, Norleans Darkwa to lead, but I think Rashad Jennings is just as good, but definitely older. But he said himself he's very motivated and wants to get on a team for next season. Any teams that you think are looking for a running back that could use a guy like Rashad Jennings, the veteran, to lead, being that I believe he does have a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots?
No, I don't think any team would want him. Why would you want him when there's guys like Latavius Murray, Adrian Peterson on the market? I mean, he got, 300, 200 rushing yards this season? That's terrible. I could probably do better than that. I mean, I don't understand. I understand why they cut him. I don't really see any value in him. I think he's worth less than a bag of chips.
Some rough words from Alec Oppenheim towards Rashad Jennings. Well, I do think, being that Latavius Murray did fall off a little bit, they could get you could get Latavius Murray for a cheaper price, but you could get Rashad Jennings for a cheaper price with a bag of chips. So that's all from the 8th installment of the 30-Minute Drill. Alongside Alec Oppenheim and Joey Cunningham, I'm Francesco Terranova saying see you in the next episode of The Drill.
And we back, 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 and we back. Better than I was the last time.